Hey guys, welcome back to my channel She Reads. My name is Holly and today I have a little bit of a different video for you. So this is actually going to be a series that I'm going to start doing where I read your stories. So this is going to be where I sit down, got my tea here, and I read stories sent to me by you guys or stories of my own. So I have an email in the description box below where you can send me your stories. They can be real or they can be just stories that you've written. Oh, hi Priya. This is my cat Priya. I don't know if you can see her. Hi. Yeah, she wants to be in the video too, I guess. So in any case, yeah, you guys can send me some of your stories, ones that either you've written or ones, true stories that have maybe happened to you in the past. And I would absolutely love to share them on here. You can absolutely remain anonymous if you choose. And with all that said, let's get into my story today. So the story that I have for you today is actually something real, something true that happened quite a few years ago now. I'm a little bit hesitant to share this on here, especially like this being the very first story that I tell, because it is a paranormal story, and I know that a lot of people don't believe in stuff like that. But I mean, if you don't believe, just take it with a grain of salt. But this is something that really did happen to me. So, my mother's house is absolutely haunted, and I have so many stories from that house and from my time living there that I can tell you guys, and I probably will get to most of them. But this one in particular actually was something that happened to my mom. And we had lived in this house. I should give you a little bit of background story about the house, first of all. So I lived with my mom. She was a single mom my whole life. And we lived in an apartment until I was about 12 years old. My mom had worked super, super hard and she had saved up enough money to buy a house for us. And I mean, it's a great house, but a lot of creepy stuff started happening pretty much right off the bat as soon as we moved in. And she still lives there to this day, and creepy stuff still happens to her and to me whenever I'm there. It seems to happen a lot more when I'm there. I'm not sure if I can just maybe an empath or something like that where I pick up on a lot of this stuff a lot more easily than other people, but a lot of the activity always has kind of centered on me. And I mean, she'll experience things from time to time, but for the most part, it centers on me. But this particular story that I'm going to tell you is actually something that happened to her. So she had these candle holders that I wish that I had something similar that I could show you, but they were a holder, and it was like a metal holder, and it was sitting on a stand, and it had like, I guess almost kind of like fingers, I guess, like I don't know what to call it, that would hold the glass part inside. So here would be the holder, and then the glass container where the candle sat was inside. And on this particular day, I was about 16 years old, and I was out with my friends. I think I was shopping or whatever, and I get a phone call on my cell phone from my mom, and she is like panicking. She is freaking out. I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? She's like, Holly, you need to come home right now. I'm like, why? What happened? Like, I'm thinking like something happened to somebody in our family or something like that. And she's like, no, you just need to come home right now because I'm freaked out. Something just happened to me in this house and I cannot explain it. And I should mention here that stuff had been happening ever since we bought the house. Like, she bought the house when I was 12 years old, and stuff had been happening ever since we bought it. So this is something that happened quite a while later. So she was already used to like having things happen, but this was something that really jarred her. So I come home and she's like freaked out. I've never seen her like this. Even when stuff has happened in the past, like she always kind of maintains an air of like, oh, you know, trying to explain it away or whatever. She definitely believes in the paranormal. My whole family does. But, you know, we're not just like crazy, going to believe in absolutely everything. Like, it has to be something that we cannot have another explanation for it. So in any case, I come home and she's freaked out, and she starts telling me that these candle holders, which were in the living room, were acting weird. Like, what do you mean they're acting weird? And so she tells me that she was in the bathroom getting ready, and she hears like a ding, like almost like glass, not necessarily breaking, but like moving. Like, you know, if you hit two glasses together, it makes that ting sound. She hears something kind of like that coming from the living room. So she comes out and she's kind of looking around the living room, and nothing really seems to be out of place or anything like that. And so she's about to just turn back and walk into the bathroom when she notices these candle holders. So like I said, they're like a wrought iron candle holder, and they're like this, and glass part sits in, and then a candle sits inside of that. So what had happened was this glass container was completely out of the holder and turned upside down, sitting beside it. And the little candle part that was in it was sitting beside that. It was just perfectly placed, like if somebody had just came, taken it out, and just went like bloop, and set it down beside the candle holder. So obviously that really freaked her out, and she thought like, what the heck? Like, but then she kind of started thinking maybe I had done that before I'd left. For what reason she didn't know, but she's trying to rationalize what's going on. So she just puts it all back the way it's supposed to be, puts the candle in the glass in the candle holder, and goes back into the bathroom to finish getting ready. So she's getting ready and she hears the ting again. So she comes back out of the bathroom and she comes and she looks, and now, because there's 2 candle holders, both of them are sitting like that, with the glass part out of the holder and the candle out of, sitting outside of the glass, just sitting next perfectly beside. So now she's freaked out because, I mean, obviously there's absolutely no way that that can happen. There's no way. Like, there's absolutely no way that you can explain that. How can something that's sitting there get out of the glass? Like, how can the glass, first of all, get out of the wrought iron holder, turn upside down perfectly beside it, but then also that little candle that's inside the glass, how does that get out and just sit beside both of them? Makes absolutely no sense. So she put it back in there again, goes back to get ready, hears it a 3rd time. And now by this time, she's like freaked right out. So she calls my stepdad, and my stepdad was on his way home to begin with, so he was like just almost right there. She calls him freaking out, and he comes in. He does not believe in any sort of stuff like this. Like, he always just thinks that we're nuts. Whenever something happens, he always thinks that we're insane. So he walks in and she tells him what happened. And of course, he does not believe her. He's like, it's your imagination or whatever. So she takes them. She's like, I don't want these in my house anymore. Like, I'm giving these away. I don't know what is wrong with these things, but no, there's no way. So she takes them and she puts them in our spare bedroom, and her plan is to get rid of them as she goes out during the day. She's going to donate them or whatever. She's just over it. But she takes them out of the living room. She puts them in the spare bedroom, and she's like, okay, whatever. So she goes back to go and get ready. And they both hear the dinging again. And my mom looks at my stepdad, and she's like, I swear to God, she's like, go in there and look. And I bet you anything they will be turned upside down. And he's laughing at her. He's like, yeah, whatever. And he saw her put them in there, and he saw her put them in perfectly the way they're supposed to be. So he goes in, and of course they are turned upside down like that again. And he sees it. And so she's coming up behind him, and she's like, how do you explain that? Like, you don't believe me and whatever and all this stuff. So he had no explanation for that whatsoever. And to this day, he still doesn't. He tries to explain it away. He's like, oh, I don't know, but it wasn't a ghost. Like, well, what else was it? Like, come on. So I get home, and she had told me that story, and of course we're both freaked out. My stepdad's just kind of like trying to roll his eyes, but he still has no explanation for it. He still doesn't want to believe us. He still thinks we're nuts, but he has no explanation for it. So that is the story of the haunted candle holders at my mom's house. If you guys like this story and you want to hear more haunted stories from my mom's house, please let me know in the comments down below, because I have a ton of stories that I'd love to share with you guys. And like I said, this one is true. I am going to be sharing stories on here that I've written that are fictional, but this one is true. So let me know in the comments below. Have you guys ever lived in a haunted house? Have you ever experienced anything paranormal that you cannot explain? Send me an email and maybe I'll read it out on my channel. Thanks you guys so much for listening, and have a great day. Bye.